Jesus, boys, girls, in-betweeners, Red Gamer here, back with another tutorial for Juri, this time for Season 3 / Arcade Edition. Now, I am updating the tutorial for Season 3 as there's been quite a few changes to Juri that affect how she plays, as well as some new information that will update how she has previously played and changed from Season 2. Now, as always, these tutorials are built around practical information. There's plenty of videos you can go out and find on YouTube already showing off swag combos you can do for Juri with Feng Shui Engine now and things like that. That's not practical, it's not good damage, it's not a good use of resources. I want to show you things that you can actually use. So if you want the good stuff, not the flashy stuff, you come to the right place. Now, third thing is this tutorial will be in two parts. This is part one. We are focusing on the fundamentals, so her moves, her specials, and her V system. This is part two. We'll be covering some of the more elaborate stuff, her game plan, her combos, quirks, frame traps, things like that. So I'm just breaking up there to make it a little bit more easy to digest. Now, lastly, the last thing I want to say before we jump into this is that it is still very early days for Season 3. As I am recording this, it has not been out for a week yet. So if there is new information that comes to light, if there is new technology, if there's things that I haven't covered in this video, I will create new videos for them on the channel, which gives you a little bit more of a reason to subscribe if you haven't already, doesn't it? All right, let's jump into this. Now, if you have not played Juri before, Juri is a character who can be played a lot of different ways, but I feel she is most effective when she plays as a character who controls, neutral, and counters her opponent. Largely due to the fact that she has a few pokes that are really great range, and is just able to keep her opponent at a range where she's able to hit them, but not the other way around. Now, she has tools that can also shut down just about any strategy from any character, but they need to be used very carefully and with the right timing. She can't be played brain dead, she can't be played flowchart. You have to be always actively thinking about how you're spending your resources when you're playing Juri. Now, also, at the cost of having these tools, Juri has a lot of trouble applying extended pressure. She's got a lot of moves that finish negative on blocks, so you're going to have to back off at some point if your opponent is continuing to block, otherwise you're going to risk leaving yourself wide open to a counterattack. Now, let's talk about Juries Normals. Juri's moves have changed in Season 3, but only with regards to the actual hitboxes and hurtboxes. Her frame data has not changed one single iota since Season 2. So there's not a whole lot of new information there, but there is some information in how she uses some of her moves now. So even if you've seen previous tutorials, it's worth going through this just to see if you pick up a morsel or two you haven't seen already. Alright, so first off the block is Standing Light Punch. Alright, this is positive on block. It is +2. It has a short range. It's not obviously great range on this bad boy here, but it is very fast. It works as an anti-air at certain ranges. It's a 3-frame startup. It's a good party starter all around. As you can see, combos into itself as well. It's a good move just to be able to throw out and confirm off of. Okay, Standing Medium Punch. This here. 5-frame startup, so it's reasonably fast for a medium. It is linkable into Standing Medium Kick. Alright, it also has a lot of pushback on block though. So you can see there, he gets pushed right out of there from that Standing Medium Punch. It basically has a lot of pushback on there, but it's also +2 on blocks. So that's kind of the saving grace, if you will. It's a good move, but unfortunately you just cannot abuse it. Okay, Standing Heavy Punch. This is probably Juri's most solid anti-air normal. It works at pretty much any range. It has a acceptably good range as a normal. So it sticks out further than you think it would, really. We're hitting Ken from pretty far out here. It gets good use in combos. It's an all-around good poking tool. It's good for buffering and neutral into another move like Rorin Satsu. If you're fishing for counter hits, things like that. So pretty good move for just neutral in general. Alright, Standing Light Kick. It is +1 on block. That's kind of about it. It's useful for confirms, like so, but aside from that, you're not going to be throwing this out in neutral too often. You're not going to be using it as a punch because of its relatively short range. It's not bad, it's more range than Light Punch has, but not by much. Standing Medium Kick. Now this is, in my opinion, one of the best pokes in the game. It always has been. It's been one of Juri's saving graces. This move is phenomenal. Look how far out this hits from. It's incredible. It hits twice. So if you have an opponent doing an armor move, you'll beat them through the armor. It sticks out further than pretty much any normal in the game. It will beat Cammy's standing medium kick. It will beat Karin's standing heavy kick. It will beat so many things. You will be shocked by it. Okay, standing heavy kick. It is a very slow move. It has a 13 frame startup. It is only, despite the fact that she jumps off the ground straight away, she's only classed as airborne from frames 15 to 21 of activation. It is not cancelable into anything outside of V-Trigger 1, but it does cause crush counter as well. So this is going to be a go-to move, causing crush counter or fishing for a crush counter in footsies. And as you can see, it also does move Juri forward. Okay, crouching light punch. It's +2 on block. So it is useful when doing frame traps and confirms, but aside from that, it's not very good for anything. It's not 3 frames. It has a very poor range, as you can see. It's not good for anything outside those things I just mentioned. Crouching medium punch. Not much better. It does work as an anti-air in Season 3 now, which is a little bit weird, but why would you use it when Juri has so many better anti-airs instead of this one, and it's not really consistent even if you do use it as that. It's not as good as it was in Street Fighter 4. It's really only useful in combos and not much else. It has pretty poor range, as you can see again, for a medium. Not great. That's kind of it. Alright, crouching heavy punch. This bad boy here is vastly improved from its Season 2 and Season 1 versions. Now, the bad news is that it still does not have a forward hitbox. It's very shallow. It goes up a long way, but in terms of going forward, not so much. We're basically on top of Cam right now, and we still can't hit him. Finally got him. So there is very little forward hitbox on this thing, but it does go upwards a long way. Now, this was always supposed to be an anti-air, but basically because of the Juri's hurtbox and the active frames on this and the hitbox as well, it was just a bad combination. It resulted in Juri basically getting beaten out a lot of the time. Now, it has greatly improved from there. It still does trade more than it should, but I've very rarely been in situations where this is lost to anything. So if we set our friend Ken here, we'll start jumping in. We gotta trade there. Gotta trade again. Gotta crush counter. So as you can see, crush counter on an anti-air is a very powerful tool to have. And we've yet to be beaten down on it. So the worst that's happened is that we traded a couple times. This will beat a lot of things now. I've been told that it will beat it'll beat Devil's Reverse, sorry, not hit stomp. It will most definitely beat any full screen Tatsus that Ken tries to do. I've definitely tested that out. So all in all, it is much improved, and I strongly recommend that you get into the habit of using that as an anti-air whenever you can. It does not work at long range if they jump in from downtown. Because of that lack of the forward hitbox, I recommend using standing heavy punch instead, or using a medium tensioner for that, but if they jump in shorter or they try to go for a cross-up, this is your boy right here. A crouching light kick. Another 3-frame normal. Juri has 2 3-frame normals so far. It's good. Better range than crouching light. It's a good kind of get-off-me tool if you're panicking a little bit and trying to just get them away from you. It's good for just forcing them out. As you can see, it links into itself. So it's good for that. It's 0 on block. Not much else to say, don't really use it for anything else aside from that, but it's a good tool to have nonetheless. Crouching medium kick. Decent range, not as good as it looks. As you can see, we're kind of touching Ken's foot now and it's not hitting him. There we go. So it's good, it's definitely a good move. It's really good for just sort of dashing up and catching people with it. In addition to that, it will also lower Juri's hurtbox as well, so certain moves like Urian's headbutt will actually whiff if you're doing crouching medium kick. So it's good for doing little mix-up-y things like that as well if you don't want to try and confuse people, catch them off guard. And crouching heavy kick. It's a sweep. What else do you need to know? It has good range. Not the best in the game, but it is good. It's no Karin. It's it's not like Karin's sweep, but I would say probably 2/3 of the cast can't counter sweep this if you do it at max range. So it's pretty good. But aside from that, it's a sweep. It's, they're universal. They're all minus on block. They all cause crush counter. What else do you want? Jumping light punch. It's a decent air. That's kind of about it. You really won't find yourself using this much at all. There might be certain situations where you can find a use for it, but they'd be very specific. It's there's plenty of other moves that Juri has in the air which he'll be using as a priority over this. Jumping medium punch. Better than jumping light punch. Has a wonky kind of hitbox on it. As you can see, Juri kind of throws her arm down and her body up. And also this bad boy causes float state. You can see him float back to the ground there. So you can get a follow-up off of that. So it is useful for that. Jumping heavy punch. Has kind of a weird angle to it. It's a good air-to-air option. Good for catching things like Bison's head stomp or Vega's wall dives, things like that. Good for catching those. But aside from that, it's not her main jump in tool just because it has that weird kind of hitbox on it where it angles up. So you actually have to delay it a little bit if you want to try and catch Ken, otherwise you can see it whiffs there. Jumping light kick. Okay, this crosses up. It's got a good hitbox on it, it's a good air-to-air. Overall, this is a good move. If you jump in the air and they jump to meet you and you weren't expecting it, if you throw this out, just because of this hitbox and how fast it is, you will generally win that encounter. It's a good kind of oh shit panic button if you meet in the air, and good for applying pressure if you want to cross up. Jumping medium kick. This is better than jumping light kick if you want a cross up tool. It is Juri's best cross up tool because it can be, if you space it right, quite ambiguous. Combos. If you want to go for cross-ups, this is the ideal one. Jumping light kick is more used for tick throws and things like that, but we'll talk about that in the second video. And lastly, jumping heavy kick. This is a go-tool jump-in tool. If you want to just get a raw jump-in that's not a cross-up, because it angles down slightly, it makes it very easy to land with. It did get its hitbox altered along with a lot of other characters in Season 3, but that really hasn't altered how it hits, it just alters people's ability to anti-air you. So it's still really good for just getting a party started if you want to do a basic jump in. Okay, command normals and target combos. Alright, first command normal is Juri's Seku, which is her overhead. This move is terrible. It's one of the worst overheads in the game, with the exception of one thing, which you may have just seen if you're paying attention. But first of all, it's very slow to start up. This has a 22 frame startup. It's kind of ridiculous. And even if you manage to land a hit with it, it's not actually plus on hit, it's 0 on hit and -6 on block. So even if you get a hit with this, you are not at an advantage. You're only at the same advantage as the other person because it's 0 on hit. And did I mention it's -6 on block? But as you can probably tell by now, it does have a ludicrous range that you can do it from. It is absurd. It's really, really good. If you get someone in the corner, and I'll talk about this more in the second video, but if you get someone in the corner and they're just crouching there, kind of daring you to go in on them, you can harass them with this from a distance all day. It's really good for that. It's good for getting that last hit in the match. It's really good if you don't overuse it. Alright, her second command normal is her back heavy kick. It hits twice. It's -2 on block, so it's safe. It's cancelable. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. At super high levels of play, it may not be as good because you probably want to try and do something that applies more pressure. Doing a move this slow, if they know there's -2, that you've basically given up pressure. But aside from that, even knowing that, I still find this really good because trying to get stores is so difficult. You can always cancel this in the store. Store is -2 as well, which we'll get to a little bit later, but it's just really good for that. And on hit, you can do just about anything. You get the idea. Very, very good move, especially if you get a knockdown and want to go for meaties. Things like that. Very good. Alright, Juri's target combo is forward or back, medium punch into heavy punch. So you can do it forward, as you can see here. Or, if you're looking at the inputs inside, you can do it back. Still works either way. It causes a float state, so you can get a follow-up afterwards. Or if you're feeling really saucy. Oh, wait. Oh, I was about to show you a combo. We're going to save that for video 2. Yeah, I want to keep coming back. But needless to say, it is good. They did change it in Season 3 so that it hits crouching opponents. In Season 1 and Season 2, this bad boy did not actually hit crouching opponents. But in Season 3, sorry, It now does. That's the good news. You want the bad news? Good news is, on hit, you can cancel it. Bad news is on block, you can't cancel it. So it can't be cancelled on block. You can V-trigger cancel it with V-trigger 1, but it's still really bad in that regard. So unfortunately, a lot of Jury players were really hoping this would get a lot more utility in Season 3, because if they blocked, you could just cancel into a fireball store to make it safe. It's minus 12 on block, as you can see right there. They have all day to punish you if you throw that out randomly. So unfortunately, we were really hoping that buff in Season 3 would give her a lot more utility, but unfortunately, the good Capcom giveth and the good Capcom taketh away. So don't expect too much more from target combo outside of punish situations than we had previously. Alright, Jury's second target combo, yes, she has 2 of them, is medium punch heavy kick in the air. Ooh, don't jump over. There we go. This bad boy here is not particularly useful. The only thing you'll really use this for is if you really want to get corner carry, because as you can see, there is a lot of corner carry on this bad boy. But otherwise, you want to go for other things that's in the air. Obviously, with priority, trying to use a medium punch in the air is not your best option, so don't get too excited about that. And lastly, Juri has an air throw. Just light punch, light kick in the air, like a regular throw. It's pretty good. It's got a good, decent range. There are certain characters who just ruin Juri's day in the air. Some of them being Laura, another being Bison, another being Ryu. They all have normal attacks that will prevent Juri from basically being able to win any exchange in the air. But outside of those 3, and maybe 1 or 2 others that I've forgotten to mention, she can beat most people in the air with the air throw. So it's a good option to go to if you see them jump and have the reflexes to try and snatch them out of the air. Okay, special moves. Let's talk about Juri's fireballs first. Her Verhagen, the fireballs. Now, first of all, every fireball needs to be stored before you can use it. So you need to do the fireball motion and the appropriate button to get your store. Now, the stores themselves are actually all identical. They're all -2 on block. So if they hit, you get that, and if they block, -2, -2. So that's why they're really good for cancelling in block strings. If you need to cancel into something safe on a block string, you may as well cancel into a fireball to get your store. And also in addition to that, they do actually leave your opponent in a float state as well. So if that connects, you can always do the EX follow-up afterwards. So, good option. They have a projectile hitbox in them by themselves as well, so you can use them to cancel out other projectiles, but the timing is a little bit finicky, so don't do that unless you're really good at it. Alright, Juri's Light Fireball. This had its travel distance increased in Season 3, which is really good. It actually travels quite a good bit further than it used to. As you can see, it just peters out there. This probably traveled a good 2 or 3 feet less than what you've seen now in Season 2. So this has become a much more viable pressure tool from a distance, because you can throw it out, dash up behind it, get another one, and still be in their face by the time it arrives there. So it's quite good now. It's really good for just being able to throw out as a spacing tool in footsies and just make them nervous enough to block. Okay, Juri's Medium Fireball. This bad boy. It looks better than it is, because in spite of that amazing animation, it is not an overhead. We've been asking for it to be an overhead since Season 1. Capcom refuses to give in to our demands, which is very unfortunate. It's slow to start up, it's unsafe on recovery, it's basically a really terrible fireball to throw out randomly. You only ever want to use it in combos. It's good for combos because it does good damage and allows you to cancel into other moves or fireballs, but by itself, not a good tool at all. And Juri's Heavy Fireball. This bad boy hits twice, does good damage. It does 100. That's been boosted up in Season 3 as well, along with the medium fireball as well. So it now does actually good damage. One of the biggest complaints that Juri players had was that storing fireballs, the damage you got from them was not worth the trouble you went in storing them. Originally this did 80, now it does 100. So it's basically, while it's still not amazing, it's not going to just rock anyone's world. 100 damage for a fireball is pretty good. That's better damage than you'll see than pretty much any other fireball in the game, basically. In addition to that, it also leaves your opponent in a float state, so in the corner. Whoa, try again. There we go. So you can follow up afterwards in the corner and get some shenanigans going, which again, you will see more of in the second video. But beyond that, it's really your combo window of choice for the most part. And EX Fireball is Jury's last fireball. It's not very good outside of combos. You did see before when we did a store and was able to use it. That's really the only time you'll ever be using it. It's -2 on block, which you'd think is good. But see where Juri lands. She finishes right in front of Ken. Doesn't matter what distance she does it from. She always finishes right in front of their face. So it's -2, which means she's at disadvantage. And at this distance, you are in throw range. So if you do that on block, you basically have put yourself in a mix-up situation where you have to deal with either a counterattack or a throw. You have to guess which one they're going to do. So it's really bad for doing anything outside of a confirmed combo. Alright, 10 Sinrins, Jury's Dragon Punch, or DP, if you will. Juri has 3 versions, they all function a little bit differently, they all have the universal changes to them that people got in Season 2, so Light is immune to throws, Medium is upper body invincible for anti-airs, and Heavy version is invincible to projectiles, but I've never once used it to try and get through a projectile. So that said, Jury's Light DP. Not too bad, it's actually a good spacing tool. It's cancelable, you can cancel it in a super. Hits twice, it's a good move overall. It is negative on block and it does have the quirk that if they're crouching, it's actually less safe. So if they're standing, it's -3, and if they're crouching, it's -8. But that said, it does have enough pushback that if our friend here can blocks all of it, it's kind of difficult for most characters to punish it. There are characters who can punish it, Ryu being a good example with a standing light kick. You can combo into a DP or a super or whatever he wants from that. But most characters will have a pretty rough time trying to get a decent punish off on this if you space it right. Like from back there, they're not going to be able to do too much. Right, Medium 10 Sinrin is her anti-air DP. Alright, Medium 10 Sinrin is her anti-air DP of choice. As you can see here, it's going to beat our friend Ken here out of the air. That said, it is not guaranteed that you'll beat them out, because for some reason, when designing this character, Capcom decided that her hitbox should actually flicker in and out of existence, basically. It actually flickers on and off through the animation because her legs are not always facing the opponent, I guess being the reasoning for it. But outside of that, it doesn't happen too often, but when it does happen, my god, trust me, you will be very annoyed when it happens, because it doesn't happen for you, it doesn't happen for gaming, it doesn't happen for anyone else, just Juri has this magic flickering hitbox on her DP. Heavy 10 Sinrin still works as an anti-air. Not as good, but it still works. Oh, yes. Kind of slow as you can see, but you can knock him out, yeah. I do recommend it. I recommend using Medium Punch 10 Sinrin for your anti-airs, but as you can see, it can work. Outside of that, I just really recommend using it in combos. And EXDP has full body invincibility. It is a true wake-up reversal, so you do have that option if you get knocked down. It also got its invincibility extended in Season 3 from up to frame 9 to now up to frame 12. Because there was a lot of situations, like I was just describing, where people would jump in, you would use this as your anti-air, and they would just basically beat you out of it. It was kind of shit. So that's how its invincibility extended now, as when you're trying to use it as an anti-air. It's a good option for that. It's a good option if you're kind of happy to go YOLO, which I am, sadly, and use it as a wake-up reversal. You can use it in combos still. So, all around, pretty good. Okay, the Ryodun Satsu, or the wheel kick, as I will sometimes call it. That's bad boy. This is the light version. Now, the interesting thing before we get into the details about this is that the Ryodun Satsu is really, if you ask me, a mechanic that was a holdover from Season 1, back when it was designed to be Juri's main anti-fireball tech. This bad boy, if you time it right, can go over fireballs. Not like that. There we go. Honestly, I have not had to use it to go over fireballs for quite some time, so my timing is a little bit off. But as you saw, it can go over fireballs. It was designed to be her main way of getting over fireballs because back in Season 1, her V skill, which we'll talk about shortly, did not go through fireballs at a decent range. It was really terrible for punching fireballs, so they gave her this tool as a way to get around that. It's designed for going over fireballs. Now that we have a new and improved V skill, which we will talk about very shortly, this move has lost a lot of its utility. Now, the light version specifically, you will never use. You will never, ever, 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 ever use this because it does less damage than the medium version, and it does everything that the medium version does, but just not as good, so there's no reason to use it. Doesn't go very far, does less damage, it starts up 1 frame faster, it's still not very good, don't use it. Right, the medium Ryodan Satsu goes further, can be used in combos, goes over fireballs if you time it right. It's basically a move that you will really only use in a couple of very specific situations, which I'll get into in the second video when we're talking about combos. But it's good, it does combo, unlike the heavy version, which we're going to talk about next. But again, there's really very little utility for it. It's unsafe on block, so like I said, you can use it to go over a fireball, you can use it in combos, but that's about it. Heavy Ryodan Satsu. Oh, goes the furthest. Goes pretty damn far, as you can see. Goes very high, so a lot better for going over fireballs. You can, if you want to try and use it in that capacity, it's easier to go over fireballs with this. Oh, execution's a little bit off tonight, but that's kind of it. So it does not combo. You cannot use it in a combo. It does not work. So if you're going to try and use it in a combo, you want to use it with the medium kick version, not the heavy version. That's kind of it. That's, again, there's another very specific situation which I will talk about in the second video, which it can be used. But aside from that, if you're going to use Ryodan Satsu, you're going to either use the medium version or the EX version of Ryodan Satsu. This bad boy has a couple of unique properties to it. First of all is that it is completely projectile invincible from start to finish, basically. So if you get knocked down and someone like, say, oh, I don't know, Guile, who likes to throw meaty sonic booms all fucking day, throws a meaty sonic boom, you can use this to go through it. We turn on our Ken's friend Ken, rather. Turn on his fireballs. We can go straight through him. Doesn't matter. You can do it at any time we want. As you can see, the fireball went straight through her there. So it is completely projectile invincible from start to finish. And, as you saw there, it does cause both a ground bounce and juggle state. So you can fall up afterwards. Be warned that the juggle state, if you're going to try and use heavy DP like you saw there, it's very contingent on the spacing of it, because if you do it at max range, it can whiff. So if you want to play it safe, you actually want to do lightning simmering. So you got options there, you got follow-ups. It can be V-Trigger cancelled as well, if you just want to use that as your party starter for V-Trigger. So it's got a lot of good uses. I do really like it as a anti-projectile tool. It's really good for getting in against zoners. It's -2 on block as well. So there's a lot to like about this move. Alright, let's get down into the V system. Now Juri's V skill is this bad boy. It's kind of like Kami's Spin Knuckle, but basically not as good in some regards. It's better in other regards, but it's worse clearly in some regards. Now there's two versions of Juri's V skill, which not many people actually figure out early on. This is the regular version. It doesn't travel very far. It always crosses up if they're in range. If they're in range, it will always cross up. If not, you'll get a whiff like that. So it has to go to the other side in order for it to actually connect. If it comes out in front, it'll just whiff. See, her leg went through him, but it didn't hit him. That's the uncharged version. You really don't want to use that very much. The only times that you ever really want to use this is if you think you can catch him off guard and get the last hit of the round, or it will actually be cancelled off of a normal, which is an interesting situation. There's not too many V-triggers that can do this off a normal like this. So if you basically go for a block string, and we set our friend Ken to guard all, so you do block string, you can cancel off and go to the other side, which again is a good way to catch people off guard. So it's good in that regard, but it's not nearly as good as the second version of it, which is the charge version. So you hold down V skill to get the charged version. Right? So the way the charge works is that once Juri actually gets to level 2, it's the level 2 charge. Juri gets some unique properties to it. First of all is, it hits twice. Once in front, once behind. So it does more damage. Second of all is, it will also go through fireballs now. Wait for the second fireball. Oh, come on, go time it. There we go, go through fireballs. So it's a much better tool for punishing fireballs than the Ryo Satsu is. Unless, you know, you use the X version. But this bad boy can be used from full screen as well. The other version did not work from full screen. Charge version will work from full screen. Now, you might say to get me, Gambit, I love the fact that it works from full screen. I love the fact that it goes through fireballs. But that's a long fucking time to be charging. That's a good full second charging that up. And in a game like Street Fighter, a full second is an eternity to be charging something. And I have good news for you. You can charge a level 2 V skill and store it for later use. What you have to do is you have to hold down the buttons and watch Juri's feet here very closely. I'll actually put a little arrow on screen to point this out if I can. Or something on screen, I don't know, I'll figure it out in editing. But watch her feet. You will see, once she starts charging, a puff of smoke appear underneath her feet. That puff indicates you've gone to level 2 charge. Once you get that puff of smoke, you can dash cancel. So like right now, we're just doing normal ones, okay? Normal, non-level 2 V skills. We charge, we get the cloud. We backdash, we let go. Right? Nothing's happened. We haven't used our V skill. But we have invisibly stored it. Unlike the fireballs, the V skill is an invisible store. And now, when we tap on V skill, we'll get Ken to throw one of his fireballs again. It's a level 2 use. It only works once. Now, if we try it again, it's level 1 again. So we charge, we get the puff of smoke. Now we have level 2. We charge, we get the puff of smoke. We have level 2. So that is Juri's go-to primo supreme method of punishing fireballs, and it is such a key part of her game plan. I cannot overstate how good it is for shutting down characters like Ryu, like Nash, like Akuma, like anyone else. Urien, doesn't matter. Anyone who relies on having a fireball as a spacing tool, once you let them know, once you put them on notice that you have a V skill stored and you have the reflexes to be able to punish it when they throw a fireball out, they will start to get very nervous about the fact they can no longer throw fireballs. That, or they'll just keep throwing fireballs in the vain belief that they can somehow find a weakness to this attack which doesn't exist. The only way you can get hit by a fireball while using this is if you do it at the absolute last second. If we wait until the absolute last second, nope, it still worked. I have to actually there we go. If you wait till the fireball is on top of you, you'll get knocked out of it. But any other time, it works beautifully. And the best part is, it knocks them so far away. They are so far away after being hit by a level 2, you have enough time to store another level 2. So you can just keep that party going. Once you've got them knocked down, get another level 2. Once you've got the level 2, they know they can't throw another fireball. I've seen Akumas just throw their life away by consistently throwing more and more fireballs, determined that there has to be a weakness to this attack that they just haven't found yet. And they all die the same way. It's beautiful to watch when people kind of accept that they can't throw fireballs anymore. So use this, learn it, love it, make it part of your life. It will be the best thing you learn about Juri today. I promise you that, if you do not know it already. Alright, Juri's V-Trigger 1. Feng Shui Engine Alpha. This has 2 properties. The first property is it allows Juri to cancel one normal into another, so it's a lot like Zeku's, but it's better. Basically. See that? So that's the first part. You're basically able to create custom combos on the fly. So it's quite good for that. Right. The second part of it is that it will allow Juri to use her fireballs without storing them. Now, in Season 3, there's been a couple of changes to this. The first one is that it went from a 3-bar V-trigger to a 2-bar V-trigger, so you can theoretically do 2 V-triggers in one round, which is quite a nice thing to have. Also, you can activate it sooner than you would normally. So those are both very good things to have. However, to counteract that, Capcom also made it that Juri gets to throw less fireballs, not do less cancels. Juri doesn't get a nerf to her cancels. She can still do the same number of cancels and normals that she can do in Season 2. But in Season 3, Juri can do less fireballs. She can do a maximum of 4 fireballs. That is your limit for a single V-trigger. It's a maximum of 4, but in reality, it's probably going to be 3. Unless you land a combo straight away and are able to burn all 4 fireballs in that one combo, it's probably going to be 3 fireballs. So just keep that in mind. But essentially it allows you to create some pretty fancy combos, which again, I will show you in the second video. But I firmly believe at the moment that what you want to do with this is you want to try and basically activate this V-trigger as a part of a combo and get a knockdown as fast as you can. So what I'll normally do is dash up to crouching medium kick into heavy fireball. Right, that's my party starter. I got 200 damage off that, which is not great damage, but now I have a full bar to work with, and I don't have to worry about the V-trigger activation causing damage to the scaling of the combo. I can get more mileage out of this V-trigger, potentially, if they get caught by a combo, than I would if I spent a whole bunch of meter on trying to do a big swag combo off activation, which doesn't go anywhere. Alright, Juri's V-trigger 2, the Feng Shui Engine Beta. This V-trigger gives Juri the ability to steal her opponent's meter and add it to her own. Alright, so if we go ahead and set our friend Ken's V-trigger to just being normal. Alright, you can see he's got full meter and we got nothing. We activate this. And now we are actively draining his meter and adding it to our own as long as he stays inside this little aura we have around us. Alright, we move out, it stops draining. We move back in, it works again. Right, you're gonna get about 2.5 bars out of activation to this. And obviously you can just use that meter however you want. Now, let's talk about this V-trigger. I said when this V-trigger was announced that this was a terrible V-trigger, and sadly, since I've actually got my hands in the game and talked to a lot of other people who play Juri as well, no one has disagreed with me on this or changed their mind. They all agree that this is a terrible, terrible, awful thing that you should never use under any circumstances. And I'm going to give you a few reasons for why. First and foremost is that unlike the Feng Shui Engine Alpha, you don't get free fireballs, you don't get free links, you just get to drain someone's meter while they're in this aura. Now, the aura, as you can see, only works if they have meter. If they have no meter to drain, this does nothing. Does no damn thing. It's got a nice wind effect. But that's it. And that's where the bad news only just starts, because if we change Ken to Hasamita, alright. Alright, we're draining again, we jump, doesn't work. If Ken jumps, doesn't work when he jumps. If we throw him, doesn't work while he's being thrown. It doesn't work when Juri's being hit. It doesn't work under so many circumstances, it's kind of ridiculous. Right? It's really, really bad in that regard. There's so many situations where Juri just can't be getting meter from her opponent, and she has this very, very limited field. As you can see, like, we have it over Ken here, but it's not actually working. We have to move a little bit further in, and then it starts draining. So it doesn't even go out as far as the animation actually goes. On top of that, when you activate this, there's a 5-frame opening when you activate this. So your options for being able to follow up afterwards are pretty limited. I will talk about combos you can do with this in the second video, but with only a 5 being +5 on hits, it doesn't give you a whole lot of opportunity for a follow-up. Let's put it that way. So it's really, really bad in that regard. And there's one more thing I want to show you with this V-trigger, is that if we get Ken to, let's get Ken to just burn off a little bit of meter here, shall we? All right, we got Ken to burn off some meter, right? Now, what's the interesting thing here? We activate this and we start doing combo. Watch his EX bar. What do you notice? The answer is, if you weren't able to see what I was talking about, Ken was actually gaining as much meter as he was losing while being hit. The damage that he was taking from being attacked was cancelling out the drain effect from the Feng Shui Engine Beta. So, in effect, it didn't cause him to gain meter like he would normally if he was being hit, but he also didn't really lose any either. So if you're playing against someone like, for example, Ed or Abigail or anyone else you feel might be a threat if they have meter, and you think, okay, I'll use the Feng Shui Engine Beta to take their meter away. The answer is that if you're attacking them and they're getting hit, you're not actually taking their meter, you're stopping them from gaining it. If they're blocking, then yes, you will be taking their meter. But if you're hitting them, you're actually hurting yourself in that regard, almost as much as you're hurting them. So it's really bad, even if you want to just use it for stealing meter from people to try and keep people on low meter, because as long as they're getting hit, they're building meter regardless. So yeah, it's just a really, really awful V-trigger too, and I would love if someone could show me if there is a video or something that I haven't seen that can change my mind on this. By all means, post in the comments below and I will post a retraction video that will make your head spin. But until I see that, I am going to maintain my stance that you should never use V-trigger 2 under any circumstances. Jury's critical art. It's a fireball. It's not very good. And there's a few reasons for this. First and foremost is that the number of hits that it does actually decays the further away it is. So if you do it from about 2/3 screen, it does 330 normally. I only did 150 that time. If you do it full screen, it didn't even touch him. So it's a kind of super that you really need to do at absolute point blank range, or as close to as possible, that will guarantee damage. You can also jump over it because this doesn't go up that high. As you can see there, it does not cover the whole screen, so you can, it's not like Rashid's Tornado where you can't really jump over it. This you can jump over quite easily if you see it coming. But beyond that, it will catch juggled opponents, so if we do a move which causes juggle, it will catch them. So that's going to be a primary way of really comboing into it, is using juggles and things like that. So as far as supers go, like I said, it's not that good. If they have a move which goes through projectiles like Jury's V-Skill or Balrog's Turn Punch or anything else like that, again, it's just a standard projectile, so they'll be able to go straight through it. It's not like the Tornado from Rashid or Bodhi's can or anything else. It is definitely a projectile that can just be beaten by anti-projectile moves. So basically, you want to use this in a combo and essentially nowhere else. But it does 330 damage, which is good damage for a super, and that's about really it. Don't ask much more than that. Juri is invincible during startup, but like I said, it's still not very good just due to the fact that it is a projectile, and projectiles can be beaten in this game. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me and part 1. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative. There will be a part 2 going up in a few days, so if you like this and you want to see that, make sure you click that like, you hit subscribe, and you leave a comment below letting me know what you thought. Are there things that I missed? Are there things that I could do better for part 2? What's your general thoughts? Did you enjoy? Just let me know below. I would greatly appreciate to hear your thoughts. But in the meantime, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs, and we'll see all of you very soon.